Welcome to The Ladder, a weekly dose of personal development ideas to help spark your imagination, increase your leadership skills, and bring more success into your life. And now, here's your host, James Ferris.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Ladder Podcast. I'm your host, James Ferris, and today is Tuesday, May 29th, 2018. It is the first day of our summer camp here in Florida at our martial arts school and the first week of that, so very excited about that. Had an early morning class this morning I thought went really well. We had about 16 to 18 anxious students that were here ready to learn some martial arts, and we're going to be doing that every single day this week and for the next 10 weeks. So I'm very excited about that. But I wanted to talk to you about something that applies directly to martial arts. It also applies directly to being a parent or a teacher or successful anything and everything. So if you're trying to be more successful as a teacher or a parent, if you're trying to be more successful as a scholar or a sports an athlete or in your career, in your relationships, it does not matter. The principles are all the same. And here's what it comes down to. So today's title of this podcast is How to Become Stronger Emotionally. And here's how this applies. I'm going to give it to you very succinctly, and then I'm going to break things down. Here's how this concept applies to your success. Are you ready for it? Get yourself a pen and a pad of paper, or get your phone out and get ready to take notes. Here we go. Your success will be largely determined by how much crap you can take and keep moving forward. How much crap can you take and continue keeping on, continue on what you're doing. See, that's all comes down back to and stems from our degree of emotional strength, our emotional stability. And the stronger we are emotionally, the more successful we are going to be. Now, I'm going to tell you, between my wife and I, she is the stronger of the two of us in many, many ways. And she would probably argue that to some degree, but probably not in some areas, because I really learn a lot from her. I watch her under pressure, and man, does she perform so much better than I do under pressure. And that's not a knock to myself. It's just that kudos to her, because I don't know many people that can take as much crap, I guess, from every different angle and direction and just keep moving forward as if nothing has happened. Nothing's happening, right? It's incredible to watch her at work. And so I learned from her in that respect, watching her do that. So I'm not terrible at it, but if I compared the two of us, she would definitely come out as the victor in that area. So your level of success is largely determined by how much crap you can take. So let's break this down for a moment. And I'm going to give you 10 ways that you can become stronger emotionally. And I'll tell you the first thing that you can do if you're already not doing it, and that's join a martial arts program, because all 10 of these things will be addressed in a good martial arts program. And that's one of the reasons why people take martial arts. Oftentimes people take martial arts thinking that they're doing it for one reason, only to discover that the personal development side of things, and by the way, developing your emotional strength is certainly falls under the category of personal development in a very big way. But a lot of people start martial arts thinking that they want to learn to defend themselves, they want to gain more confidence, or maybe even lose some weight. And they don't realize the power. If they join the right program, they don't realize the power of what that program has to offer them in the area of emotional strength. See, if you're going to do it right, if you're really going to earn your black belt, and you're not enrolling in a school that just hands out belts like candy, then you're going to have to change and become stronger emotionally. I mean, think about this. When we talk about martial arts is it's a very close parallel to military arts. In fact, that's what martial means. Martial arts means military arts. And that's where they were first taught. When martial arts were first created in the physical form, they weren't taught to kids, and they weren't taught to just, the average person. They were taught to soldiers so that they could protect their villages or protect their countries. And in order to become a soldier, you have to have a certain ability and a certain amount of mental fortitude, otherwise known as emotional strength. And so that's why in the military, basic training is a lot of discovering who has the mental strength to go on and who doesn't. And the ones who don't, they're the ones that what they call washouts, and they don't make it past basic training, and for good reason, because we don't want somebody that doesn't have emotional strength to have possession of a firearm and have to be on the front line and save our behinds, right? We want to know that our partners can act under pressure. And that's what training in martial arts helps us to do, if you're in the right program, that is, because I will tell you that not all programs are created equal, and some of them don't address this as well as others do. I like to think that ours does, and that's the reason I'm talking about it here. So if you want to shortcut everything down to two things, number one, your success, your level of success will largely be determined by how much crap you can take in life and keep moving forward. All right. The second thing is, if you want to improve that area, improve your emotional strength, or you want to improve the emotional strength in your children, get them involved in a very good martial arts program that will help address these things. All right. So there's your podcast for today. Now I'm going to break down, in case that's not of interest to you, and maybe you'd like to hear some more. I've got 10 things that you can do that are all handled in a good martial arts program, but you can take them individually one by one. All right? So if you're dealing with emotional issues, and what does that mean, I'm dealing with emotional issues? Well, every time I get into a pressure situation, I find myself being overwhelmed. I have an anxiety type of a feeling. I look around and I'm worried about what everybody thinks about me, and those are symptoms of anxiety and symptoms of needing some work in the emotional stability or emotional strength category. All right, so here are the things you can do to physically and mentally work on these things. All right, number one is deep breathing. Also meditation, right? So if you do deep breathing, the idea is, and this is an old doctor's recommendation or remedy for a lot of stress that we feel in our lives, and they tell you to take 10 slow, long, deep breaths. So let's do that. Just you and I, let's do that for 3 long, slow, deep breaths, and let's see how long that takes. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start up a stopwatch here in a second, and we're going to see just how long that's going to take. Get the stopwatch. All right, I'm going to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths, and let's see what happens. Are you ready? All right, prepare yourself, and here we go. We're going to inhale. And exhale. One more. So that was about 34 seconds. All right, so if we took that 34 seconds and we multiply that by 3, let's say for 9 deep breaths, that's 102 seconds there. Let's add another, we'll say we're taking 30 seconds for 3 breaths, right? So that would be 10 seconds per breath. So let's add another 10 to that to make it an even 10 breaths. That's 112 seconds. We'll divide that by 60. Well, you're looking at about a minute, just under 2 minutes to take 10 long, slow, deep breaths. Now imagine if you did that anytime you started to become anxious, right? Think about when you get into your deep sleep, how deep your breathing gets when you get into your REM cycle of your sleep, which is the most healthy part of your sleep cycle. It's the regenerative part. And our breathing becomes very deep. When we finally relax and let go and fall off to sleep, you can hear it in somebody's breathing. That's the first sign that they have fallen to sleep, because their breathing slows down and becomes very deep. And in some cases we snore. So that's number one. Learn to slow down and learn to breathe again from your abdomen, and breathe deeply. I recommend, if you're feeling yourself getting emotional or anxious, to take at least 5 long, slow, deep breaths. And that will make a world of difference in whatever it is you're dealing with. Okay? Now the second recommendation there that goes right along with it, it's not one of the 10, it goes along with the first one, is meditation. So meditation is basically sitting still in a comfortable position, even lying down if necessary, and focusing on long, slow, deep breaths. And if you just take your mind off of all the other things that are clouding your thinking and only focus on your breath. Focus on taking that long, deep, slow breath in, pausing at the the inhale, and then slowly exhaling and pausing again at the exhale. That will do more for you in a very short period of time than most medications will ever do for you. All right, just that. That's the first one. That's something that we do in the martial arts, is we'll start with at least 3 long, slow, deep breaths to clear our minds and prepare for class and relax and center and calm ourselves. Okay? The next one, exercise. Again, this is handled by martial arts. So getting regular exercise is fantastic for developing emotional strength. You have lots of opportunities during exercises. Now, I'm going to give you one that I really like to use because you don't have to be in great physical shape to do this. And if you have joint problems, bad hips or bad knees or bad back or anything like that, that's going to require you to be careful about the amount of pressure you put on discs and joints and things, then use the elliptical machine at your local gym. What you can do on the elliptical machine is to start slowly, walking or gently jogging without having to worry about how hard it's going to be in your joints, and then gradually pick up the speed. And when you feel like you want to quit or slow down, you force yourself mentally to push past that desire to want to quit, even if it's by 1 second or 5 seconds. And I might be running at my top speed for 30 seconds, and I want to have the desire right in the middle of that to want to back off and slow down. And I mentally overcome that and say, you know what, we're going to go for it. Instead of 30 seconds, we're going to go for 31 seconds, right? And then you can build from there, all right? So exercise. Next is your diet. Do you know that a lot of our problems with anxiety these days and lack of focus and other things is our diet? How many things, if you were to look into your cupboard or look at everything you've eaten today and see how much sugar is in it, or sugar derivatives such as high fructose corn syrup, or some of those fake sugars like sucralose and dextrose and maltodextrin and I can't think of some of the other names because I don't ever use them. Those pink and blue and whatever other colored packages of sugar substitute. Diet Cokes, things like this that have it in there, aspartame, those types of things. Those are terrible for our nervous system. And if your nervous system is jumpy because of the diet you're eating, that's going to affect your emotional stability. So it's important you learn to get rid of, or at least curb, some of those things and get rid of the sugar substitutes and the sugar as much as you can, and keep things as natural as you can. When you keep things as close to natural as you can, your body will relegate itself, and it'll be in the right hormones will be in the right places, and the amount of glucose and insulin, all those things will regulate, I guess is the word I was looking at. They will regulate themselves, and you will feel a lot less anxious. But have you ever eaten a bunch of candy or ice cream or sugar or cereal that's got sugar in it, and how do you feel right after that? You feel jumpy and you feel anxious, and then what happens shortly after is we have that crash and we come back down, and it's that roller coaster ride that we take ourselves through by drinking too much coffee in the morning and getting perked up and buzzed and then crashing from that. So if we can learn how to just keep things as natural as possible, and I'm not suggesting you don't drink coffee in the morning, I'm just using that as an example, because a lot of people will drink the coffee, and then as soon as the coffee wears off, they're going to grab a Snickers bar, and when that wears off, they're going to grab a granola bar or something else to try to keep their energy levels up, when it's more about the quality of the types of foods that we put into our body. All right? So number 3 is diet. Number 4, getting enough rest. Yes. Do you know that one of the methods of torture that have been employed since Kingdom Come, or since day one, is sleep deprivation? They know, the torturers know, that if they can keep you from sleeping, that you're going to become very anxious and very angry and very touchy very quickly. So if they can get you to go without sleep, they can really get you to do whatever it is they want you to do, because you're going to snap quicker. And so that if they want to get you to talk, they're going to get you to the point where you can't relax anymore, and you can no longer control your emotions, and you lose control and you just blurt things out. All right, so rest is very, very important. Okay, next, number 5 is developing an attitude of gratitude. You have to understand that there are a lot of things that are going on in your life that you have to be grateful for, and the opportunity to do some of these things, and let's say in a martial arts class, because this is going to lead right into number 6, is the opportunity to learn from a martial arts person who has crossed these these bridges before, and they're showing you the way. They're lighting the way, and they're reaching out their hand from the other side of the bridge and saying, look, trust me, these boards will hold up under your weight. You can handle this. And see, that's what I'm doing when I do that, is I'm developing the emotional strength in my students by telling them, listen, all these people who have yellow belts and orange belts and blue belts and black belts that all have come before you, look at them. Look at their age. Look at their gender. Look at their body type. Look at their mindset. Are they the sharpest tool in the sharpest tool in the shed? Sometimes they will be, but not always. And if you don't identify yourself as one of the sharpest tools in the shed, you might see somebody else as, oh wow, they're a little bit closer to I am as far as their IQ and things like that. Maybe there is something to this. If this guy did it and that guy did it and she did it and he did it, then maybe I could do this as well. So you've got to learn to trust your instructor. And so that's where having the attitude of gratitude that you have a coach, somebody that's going to help you navigate those waters, is very, very powerful. So when you try to go it alone, that's where a lot of anxiety comes from. And this is the reason why I always have a coach, a performance coach, a liability coach, a business coach, a mentor. Always have somebody that I can plug into that has navigated what I'm trying to navigate right now, and that really makes me calm down knowing that I have them at the other end of my phone anytime I need them, or a quick email or a text, and I can get some words of wisdom, and I can get some reassurances. Okay, so that leads me right into number 6. You've got to tell yourself you're being tested. When you find yourself dealing with an emotional issue, right? A flare-up or a meltdown, whatever you used to use the term. Everybody has meltdowns. I've had meltdowns too, usually in traffic. But it's at those times we have to learn how to use those deep breathing methods, and we have to learn to have that attitude of gratitude and recognize, you know what? I'm being tested right now. I am going to be stronger. This is an opportunity for me to practice on my emotional strength, and I'm going to conquer this. And when you start thinking like that, everything changes. All right? So tell yourself you're being tested. And then number 7, these kind of like work together, these next couple. Maybe the last of them all kind of fall under that same category. And that's number 7 is learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Purposely put yourself in positions where you're going to be uncomfortable and learn how to be comfortable in that position, whatever it is. Now that could be, in martial arts, that could be a stretching position where it really hurts and it's very uncomfortable, but it's not enough that it's going to damage anything, but it's very uncomfortable and you don't want to sit there for too long. But if you sit there and you relax through the pain, you tell yourself everything's going to be okay and this muscle is going to respond to me. I'm going to give it a few moments to go ahead and reach the point of exhaustion, and then it doesn't have any choice but to relax and grow longer and adapt. See, adapting is how we grow stronger emotionally. When you have adapted to the situation, that's when you'll know that your emotions have gotten stronger. But we have to start mindfully thinking about these things and focusing on becoming stronger emotionally and recognizing when we have a possibility of being tested and saying, you know what, I'm being tested right now and this is an opportunity for me to pass this time, instead of making the same old mistakes that I've done in the past, which is to throw my hands up and freak out because things are not easy for me right now. It's not a comfortable experience for me right now. But again, how much crap can you take, right? How uncomfortable can you get to and still stand it, right? It's like one of the things that my master recommends, and I've heard it many, many times, and I still have trouble with it, by the way. This is one that I'd like to do more often, but it's very difficult. Take a cold bath or a cold shower. No warm water at all. I've done them from time to time by necessity when there wasn't any hot water. But to purposely take a cold shower or to soak in a cold bathtub or even put ice and soak in that, how difficult is that to do? But think about that. If you can stand the discomfort of that, what else will you be able to handle and stand, right? So it's that kind of mentality. All right? Learn to become comfortable. Learn to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right? Number 8. This is one that it's a personal one for me because I've always identified myself as a slower learner than most of my other classmates and things. And that's why I say give yourself permission to be a slow learner or a slower learner, and understand that this is a classic example of the tortoise and the hare, right? I was the tortoise in the situation, and the other students in my class were the hares. They were the rabbits. They were the fast ones. So they'd get up ahead of me, and then they would take a break. But I would just keep trudging along very slowly, asking questions, repeating things, keeping it basic for a long time, and drilling 2 or 3 movements while they were doing the entire set of movements. I was drilling 2 or 3 movements. But by the time that I caught up to them, they had already taken such a break because it came so easy to them that I recognized, wow, I actually know more about what we just learned than this person does. It came very easy to them, so they didn't have to work for it. I had to work for it, and you know what? I didn't like it at the time. It was a little bit embarrassing even to be the last person to figure out, what direction to turn, or which foot goes forward, or how to do this technique. But when I got it, man, did I get it. And I'm still that way. Once I got it, I can teach it to that person who got it very quickly, and I can show them probably 8 to 10 details that they missed along the way because they were in a hurry. And so if you're a slower learner, it's okay. Give yourself permission to be a slower learner and look for the strawberry in that situation. Look for the good thing what good can come out of being a slower learner. Well, I just described it to you. You're going to be able to absorb more over the long haul, and that's going to probably equate to longevity, because when things lose their and lack their challenge, that's when we give up on them, right? And any game that you've ever played that it took you a long time to be able to beat it, whether it be a video game or an actual sport or game or board game or whatever, you were interested as long as you didn't quite get there. You didn't quite succeed. But at the moment you succeeded, you wanted to try it again. Now, if you succeeded a second time right after that and a third time right after that, I promise you that's where you started to lose interest. But if you succeeded the first time and then the second time through you didn't succeed, you wanted to see if you could do it again. And when you finally get it to succeed at it a second time or whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but you succeed at it a second time, then you're going, oh, okay, I see some of the things I missed the first time. Now I understand this better. And then if you try it again and you succeed right away, the more times you succeed one after the other, the less you're going to learn from them. And this is part of emotional strength right here, because you've got to recognize that whenever you're being challenged, when things are coming, everybody else is getting it and you're not getting it, and it's working for everybody else, but it's not working for you. Keep plugging away. Keep pushing yourself. Understand that being comfortable with being uncomfortable and developing that attitude of gratitude, looking for the good thing in whatever I'm doing, and learning how to use that deep breathing. This all applies to becoming stronger emotionally. So again, give yourself permission to be a slower learner. All right? Now, number 9. Most importantly, probably, pay attention to how you speak to yourself, your internal dialogue. Most of the time, when I find myself in a position where I realize, I recognize, emotionally I'm not where I need to be right here. I'm a little bit out of my element, and I've forgotten a lot of these other things. This is the thing that I come back to, is I've got to pay attention to my self-talk, and I catch myself saying, this is hard. I can't do it. I don't think I can do it. Other things like that. When you catch yourself thinking like that or speaking like that, and a lot of times you'll catch yourself saying it to somebody else. When you catch yourself saying it, recognize it for what it is. It is a negative thought process, and that kind of thinking will actually increase your anxiety feelings and reduce your emotional strength. So you've got to, Napoleon Hill said it best, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. So if you can conceive of it, you can think of it, but you don't believe you can do it, you think that it's too hard and you don't have what it takes to do it, then there'll be no way for you to achieve it. So we have to take care of that second one. Conceiving it is easy. Coming up with the idea is easy. But believing in ourselves that we could actually do it, that's the trick right there. That's everything. And that's where your emotional strength has to come in. You've got to recognize, this is not going to be easy. But you know what? It's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to keep doing it. And you've got to think about that. If I take I don't care what the test is. It could be mathematics, it could be spelling, or reading, or anything for a first grader. I don't care what the test is. If you give me the test, I promise you I will get an A++++ on that test. So I could take the easy route and just keep taking tests and studying information that a first grader knows, and I could, butter myself up and tell myself little lies and how smart I am and how good I am, and I could be the best first grader in the world. But at 50 years old, that's not a really, big thing to be bragging about. That I can ace anything a first grader can do. You've got to push yourself in those areas as well. All right, so you got to learn the basics, and then you've got to take yourself a little bit past those basics and start experimenting and start learning other things that help. Those basics will help you put a step stool to the next level, and you get to the next level and the next level. And of course, it always comes back to the basics. But understand, the more that you understand about your basics, and that's why we have to learn to be patient. We've got to learn to do deep breathing. And we have to understand that one thing that our mentor or coach or teacher is going to say, it could be our parent as well. One thing, we have to hope that one thing that they say is finally going to resonate with us, and we're going to say, oh, man, I finally get it now, because of the other 100 ways that they said it, there was still something missing, but that was the key. That was the one missing piece that made all those other things that they talked about make sense. And that's where you have to learn how to be patient with how you speak to yourself. And instead of saying, this is hard, you say, yeah, this is challenging, but this is a test for me, and I'm going to pass this. I want to be stronger. I want to be able to do this. So I need to go through this process called the learning curve, where I don't know anything about this. I don't feel comfortable. I feel like this is too darn hard, and I'm not sure if I can do this. And start to retrain your thinking to say, you know what, this is a little challenging, but it's the challenge that makes it great, and I want to be great. So doggone it, I'm going to do all these other things. I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to get enough rest. I'm going to start watching my diet. I'm going to start developing the attitude of gratitude. I'm going to remind myself I'm being tested. I'm going to learn. I'm going to recognize this is one of those instances where I'm very uncomfortable, and I'm going to force myself to become comfortable in this environment with this particular activity or situation that I happen to be in right now. And then I'm going to give myself permission to be a little bit of a slower learner than some of my classmates, and understand that if I continue doing it, eventually I'm not just going to understand, I'm going to really understand, and probably to a better degree than most, if not all, of my classmates. And those, my friends, are the people who become teachers and masters and mentors to other people, because they know, not only have they navigated these things, they know how to teach others to navigate these waters and make it through to the other side. All right? Now, would you like to know number 10? This one is a little bit of a, how do you say, what's the word? It's arguable. There's a lot of controversy. It's controversial, right? And I'm sure you've heard this before, but I am one that subscribes to this wholeheartedly, because I've really done this with every area of my life. Fake it till you make it. I'm not telling you to be a fake or a phony. I'm telling you to fake it till you make it. You don't have confidence? Pretend you have the confidence. And after a while, that pretending of having the confidence will translate into you having more of that confidence. If you're unsure of yourself, there's a lot of old cliches, and one of them says, never let them see you sweat. So if I'm in front of a group of people that I'm leading, and I let them see the chink in my armor, let them see me sweat, and let them get the idea that I don't know what I'm doing, I am going to lose their confidence. So I must fake it at that moment and pretend that I've got it all under control. I'm cool, calm, and collected. And eventually I will become that, because I will see the results of that in the people that I am leading. They're going to trust me and they're going to follow me. And then I'm going to say, wow, you know what? I don't have a choice. I have to do this. And the more you do it, the more you put yourself in that position of that person or that thing. Let's say if I wanted to pretend I was a police officer. A lot of police officers that are actual police officers pretended to be police officers throughout their childhood, and they took it very seriously. And maybe some of them even got a badge and their name, and really role-played that to the point where they just couldn't stop thinking about it, and it became part of their who they were. They felt very comfortable in it, and it became part of their identity. And that's probably the reason that they're either in the military or they are a police officer of some kind, an officer of some kind. And it comes from faking it first and then making it second. So if you're afraid of a bully, you can't let them see that you're afraid of the bully, or they will continue bullying you. You have to fake it till you make it. So that means to the bully you stand up. To the bully you might be shaking inside, but on the outside it looks to them like you're not scared of them. That will stifle 80% of bullies right there. Just having the attitude that puts forth this projection that, look, I'm not afraid of you, and deep down maybe I am, but I'm really not. All right? And so that's what it means to fake it till you make it. And I've got a room full of people, looks like they're across the hall from me, the summer campers. They're trying to use the restrooms that are right outside of my office. I'm sure you can hear them, so I'm going to have to go ahead and cut things off. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And remember, in order to develop your emotional intelligence, or your emotional strength, to follow those 10 things. Now, if you really want a place that can do all 10 for you, join a reputable martial arts program. Do your research and find out if that's part of their training. All right? Till next week, this is James Theris saying, fake it till you make it.